Well, hello again.
Hi, everyone. I am Melanie Carr, Vice President of Xscapers RV Club, and we're also founders of the Xscapers Group.
And I am Travis Carr, the president of Xscapers RV Club. And so we're going to be bringing on some more guests here in a little bit. But first, why don't you tell us about Virtual Campfires and what we're doing for those that haven't heard?
Yeah, hopefully a lot of you have joined us by now, but for those who are new here, welcome. And Virtual Campfires are just a way for us to bring the community together online and kind of feel like we were all together sitting around a virtual campfire. So please feel free to participate in the comments and ask questions as we go along throughout the next hour with our guests and participate in the conversation. And we'll kind of be following along with the comments and trying to communicate with you guys as much as possible too. But they do take place every other week on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Central. And we alternate between the Escapees Facebook page and the Xscapers page.
And we do a little interviews, which is kind of what we're going to have this week, a little discussion, a little educational topic, hopefully, for some of you out there. But we also talk about a little club news and, again, do some educational topics. But with that being said, why don't we hit the housekeeping notes first?
So there are a lot of fun things going on within the organization right now, a lot of virtual stuff happening. Our marketing and social media team has put together a really fun Instagram challenge that's been taking place already. It started on the 1st of June and it goes through the 15th of the month. So it's a really fun way to share your pictures. They shared the little guidance here on what every day will hold. So be sure to add those on Instagram, visit our pages to follow along, and hashtag Escapees RV Life Challenge on those.
We hope to see your photos. We're enjoying it, seeing them so far. It's been fun to follow along. And happy to see ourselves on there too from the old marketing team. So it's been awesome.
It was a lot of fun to collect those old photos too. Some new, some old, and kind of relive some of those past experiences and memories. So,
right.
Yeah. And then next Wednesday, June 10th at 6 p.m. Central, there's going to be a webinar, and that will be how to unclutter and organize your RV with Donna. And I hope I say this right. I'm so sorry, Donna, if I say it wrong. Donna Smallham Cooper. So that should be a really good one and a fun way to learn how to organize your RV better, because I know I will be there and I have a lot of work to do still with our new RV and organizing everything for sure. So
although it's pretty easy to organize when it's still pretty empty.
That's true. Yeah. So, we haven't got to get out that much. So yeah. And then also our education directors and our marketing team have been working on some fun educational opportunities for those who were signed up for some in-person education and missed out on that. So if you're registered for a boot camp, be on the lookout for an online option for that. And for the broader membership, just keep following along, because we're going to try to open up some more opportunities for you guys as well.
And if you don't know what boot camp is, so this is a virtual boot camp. We've had running the RVers, Escapees RVers boot camp for several years, many years now. And it covers operation, maintenance, and safety. So now we can do this in a live format and kind of host that event that we weren't able to, and it should be fun.
It's a fun way to be able to try to have that in-person atmosphere as much as possible online, so you'll still be able to interact with other attendees and also the instructors as well for your questions. So
and the next big thing is we did update our stay in place guidance and travel guidance as well recently regarding COVID-19, obviously. And I just want to hit the main points. You can find all of this on escapees.com/coronavirus, which will explain it in detail and give much more information than what I'm going to cover today. But I just want to hit the main points that we felt are pretty important. And that is, we still feel strongly that the safest thing you could do right now is to stay in place as much as possible. So that's point number one, really. And then point number two, leading to that same thing, is if you should travel, minimize your interactions and limit that travel as much as you can as well. So again, just goes back to it just kind of is the easiest thing right now and the safest thing to just limit those interactions. So if you are going to travel, continue to practice the social distancing and follow along with the CDC guidance recommendations that we are encouraging as well, that you follow when you are traveling and interacting when you have to do so. And then the last thing we really want to hit, that's the big one, is we hope that you keep in mind what the perception of RVers are when you are traveling, especially we all have different license plates and we're traveling across country, maybe in a different state that may not be in the same opening phases as the state you previously came from, and what those perceptions of an out-of-state RVer can look like. And it's just really important that you keep in mind what those impacts could be. And last thing we want to do is, do years of undoing for our advocacy work and potentially harm or, cause problems for the RV community at large.
And it's just like we're saying, just be aware of how that perception goes, because a lot of people don't understand the full timing community, and they don't know that you're not physically residing, say, in Texas and coming into their state, even though you may have been there for the past month or two. So it's just something to kind of be aware of as you're traveling through new areas. Yeah,
it's just the concern that we don't want, new rules or laws to get implemented at these counties or cities or states, for recent activities or circumstances, you could say, to stay in effect for years to come. That's the big concern. So just be cautious out there, be aware of what you're doing, and if you're doing the right thing, it doesn't really matter. We're all good in the end. So anyways, just want to throw it out there. Do go check it out on xscapers.com/coronavirus. We've updated that information, and so you can follow along. So should we bring on?
Yeah, let's bring on the guests.
The guests?
Yeah.
The guests. Who are these guests that are coming on?
Hey, guys.
Awesome.
Hey.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. For those who may not know who we brought on, we have Tarek and Amy. Sammy and Eric from Techno RV, and they are also, speaking of Xscapers boot camp, instructors for us. So thank you guys for that. And they are also longtime supporters of Xscapers for escapade programs and such as well. So thank you guys for all you do for our community.
Hey, Melanie and Travis and Heather.
It's good to see you.
Hey.
Introduce Heather.
Yeah, so we also have Heather Ryan, known as the tax queen. I'm sure many of you have probably heard of her before and all her awesome tax advice out there. And so we're going to really dive into what both these awesome businesses and individuals and kind of learn a little more about what they do and how they operate. And if you guys have anything more to say, we do want to turn it over to you and introduce yourselves and tell them more about what you do on the road and how you earn an income.
I also want to add that Heather also, you probably, if you've been to a convergence, you've probably seen her and her husband Paul. They participate in a lot of the Xscapers events, so they're out and about. And also
even written for the blogs.
Yes, too. And she's also written for the Xscapers blog as well. So thanks for all you do there.
So we're awesome. Excited. But yeah, why don't you guys take a moment? Whoever wants to go first, just kind of introduce yourselves, and what you do specifically beyond what we kind of just did high level.
Yeah.
Take it away, Heather.
Yeah. Well, as he said, my name is Heather Ryan. I do taxes and tax planning, bookkeeping. Specifically, I focus on RV entrepreneurs. They're my niche. So that's my lifestyle. They're the way I live. So I understand the complication, maybe we'll call it. So yeah, I really enjoy helping entrepreneurs and just business owners, understand their finances or take that off their hands for them. So
awesome. Yeah. Well, I don't think you'd be more perfect for this conversation then.
I'd like to ask her a few questions if I could.
How long do we have?
We're just going to wait to see all the comments.
Start the clock, Heather. You're on the clock.
Uh-oh. Who do I send the bill to?
So, so I guess for us, you know what? First and foremost, we are full-time RVers. And that is what we love to do more than anything. And we are boot camp instructors for Xscapers.
We love Xscapers. We do the escapade every year, the rally show convention, whatever, and such a great group of people. When people we're part of other organizations, but we always say that's our favorite Xscapers.
But what if other organizations are working right now?
That's still my favorite organization.
It is a pretty great group of people.
It is
right.
It is.
We actually have quite a few joining us right now too.
So yeah, you can say we do that.
Okay, so aside from that, we have a website called technorv.com, and we provide technology products for RVers. And our business model is really based around giving lots of information, making sure people are educated on certain topics regarding that. We only sell products that we use, so we don't sell like a lot of different brands. We just kind of go out and test a bunch of things. We pick the one we think works the best for us, and that's what we present to people. And then we also do a lot of education sort of after the sale by writing our own instruction guides and things like that. And that's kind of our business.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that you both, you learn a lot from living the lifestyle, right? And that's why you're able to provide these really in-depth resources for the RV community, because you are living it, you're full-timing, and you understand what the needs are. So I think that's awesome.
It definitely helps for sure.
And the
Yeah.
struggles,
So,
right?
I mean,
You understand the struggles.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It
So, I
does
mean,
help.
it kind of sounds like both of you kind of started your business. Did you start your business after you were on the road, as you were hitting the road, before you were on the road? And kind of why was that the case, or whatever decision did that impact?
Sure.
We were actually RVers before we had Techno RV. The actual business was started by a full-time RVer, which is really cool, back in like 2009. But we sold our house and kind of moved into our RV, although we didn't move a lot in 2014. But we didn't actually buy Techno RV till 2015. That was kind of like hey, we like this, we need to figure out how to make money. And so we acquired it after the fact. We had no intentions. Well, I don't want to say we had no intentions of buying a business, but we knew we needed to make money. So it was after the fact.
Yeah, we had kind of went through the, like, what all can we do on the road to make money kind of questions with each other. And, we decided that we wanted to really explore other businesses that were for sale, because we felt like it would kind of be a jump start for us, kind of all the energy that it takes to start a business. Like, why can't somebody else just kind of already have that if you could find the right situation? And then we could just kind of jump in and make it better. And so, but for us, it was about, we didn't have it first, but we were just trying to get out of regular life. I guess, our story's not much different than most people's, really. It's like you're working these jobs, you want to get out. And this was the solution for us. And we didn't know it was going to be Techno RV at the time. It could have really been anything. But I feel very fortunate that it ended up being that.
Yeah, the fact that it ended up being RV related was just completely coincidence. It's not like we were saying we must stay in the RV industry. Let's only look at businesses and consider things that relate to RV. We were just going to be RVers that ran a business. And it just so happened that this one came available and was like, oh my gosh, of course that makes sense. So it wasn't a limiting factor when we looked at things to be like, this has got to be RV.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, that's good. I actually didn't know that. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome to hear. So I have more questions already, but I'm curious, kind of, Heather, I assume, you kind of maybe started it after you were on the road, or?
Actually, no. I was doing taxes before I hit the road, and I actually rented an office during tax season. So when I hit the road, I forgo or lost, I guess, a percentage of my clients that wanted to see me in person. But for me, it was about living the life and the dream that I wanted, and my business was going to be molded towards that. And so I was kind of that philosophy of you have to let some clients go to make room for the better ones that match me better and my lifestyle. So that's how I came to be. I switched really to being focused on RV entrepreneurs and RVers for taxes, just out of the sheer amount of questions that there were out there. If you go onto the Facebook groups, there's just so much unknown, and people are always asking. And I was like, okay, I can answer these questions for these people. So those are my people.
It's a pretty wide open market, I would say. It's a pretty niche, uncommon market that people are tapping into in the accounting world.
And I've kind of noticed that a lot of businesses like that, where it's something that almost everybody that's working needs answers for taxes. So even though you may have given up clients that are in a home base, you find the need in the community, and you were able to grow from that. So I think that's pretty cool.
But you're obviously an awesome success story in the sense that you had a business or had clients, and then you gave that up and kind of did the insecurity of not really knowing what's going to happen potentially, and you made it work. And how is success? I mean, are you better off that way, or?
I think I'm better off. The business has grown. I'm happier because I'm dealing with my fellow travelers, right? That's my community. So I think it's a better fit in general. I think it's really important to love what you do, right? Otherwise, it's work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you also speak at, similar as I said, in your one at the RV Entrepreneur Summit, and that room was packed because everybody has questions.
There were a lot of questions.
Yeah. And even though you're doing more remote work, like working with your clients, being able to go to the events, interact one-on-one with them in person, I think goes a long way as well, which kind of leads into the next question we're talking about is, for the majority of your clients, Tammy and Eric too, do you do a lot of your sales online, or is it a mixture because you go to RV shows? So what is kind of the balance between your online work, running your business and your website versus going to events and selling there?
I would say for us, when we started, the guy that owned the business, he was like probably 90 to 95% shows was revenue.
Like almost every other week.
He was going to a lot of shows, and we were happy to do that. But we knew that we wanted to kind of flip that. And so that was our goal was, hey, we'll go to show. And we still do that because we're able to listen to what the customers want, listen to what they have to say about our products. And so we still do that, but we also wanted the revenue from our website to be more of the 90-95% side of things. And so that's what it is now. We have managed over the past 5 years to kind of flip that to where most of our sales come from our website. And then we go to, depending on what we have going on throughout a year,
maybe
5 shows a year. Yeah,
they're still very important, and we would not ever cut them out because, as he said, there's so much value in just getting your name out there to new RVers, listening to your current customers. Some people are just hands-on technology. They want to touch it. They want to see it. That's just how they want to buy, and that's fine. So we won't ever get rid of one or the other.
That's awesome. And before I kind of respond, I have a lot of, I still have so many things rolling around. We go on forever for this conversation, but I know there's a lot of you listening. Please chime in. Tell us what you do for income on the road, or what questions you have for us and our guests. We'd love to kind of hear them. If they make the cut, we'll throw them up and try to get them answered. Otherwise, we're just going to throw them in the trash. But no, just kidding. But seriously, do chime in and let us know what you're doing from the road, and we can always help each other in the chat as well. So do chime in. So. And
Heather, what would you say the mixture between your clients? Do you find most of them online, or do you do a lot of networking at the events that you're attending?
I say it's a mixture. I don't really have a percentage, but I love going to events. And a lot of times when I go to events, I'll do a one-on-one with somebody just to talk to them about their situation, see if we're a good fit to work with each other. So I do love, going to events. I get also a lot of referrals. So like, let's say like Melanie and Travis, you were using me and somebody was like, hey, who do you use for your taxes? And so it just kind of works out that way too. So kind of both.
Yeah. Well, and I also see you guys both, you all participating online in groups, Facebook groups that are catering to the RV communities, whether it's an Xscapers one or the RV Entrepreneur group. So I think that probably helps a little with exposure too, because you're able to answer questions as you can and kind of share your knowledge, and then they find you from there as well.
I think that's exactly my philosophy is like give the knowledge to the people, give the answers, and it builds trust. And
And I don't know if it applies to Heather too, but I mean, first and foremost, we're RVers. So if you're in a group and you're asking about something, I mean, yeah, I'm Techno RV, but guess what? I'm also an RVer and I can help out. So, first and foremost, we're RVers. We just happen to also be able to provide other things.
Yep.
That totally makes sense. So, are you focus on the RV community? It's more especially Eric and Tammy. You guys are really, obviously your RV community is probably a big part of your customer base, I assume, but how much is not part of the RV community? You have clients or just people that are just, regular customers that are RVers too, or not so much?
Well, we've gotten into some other things, since we started going. Probably the main thing that we got into, and this is really me and Tammy were driving down the road one day, and all these 18-wheelers were passing us, and I was like, man, there's a lot of those things on the road. Serious
business meetings go on when we're driving. That's like,
we've been there.
I feel you. That's the best brainstorming session
ever. I started like counting like how many 18-wheelers versus RVers they were, and then I was like, man, those people use the same stuff that RVers use, like GPS, tire pressure monitoring, cell boosters, things like that. And I'm like, that would be a pretty easy transition. And so RVing, by all means, is our main thing. But we do also have technotrucker.com, and we are going to be getting into some marine stuff soon too.
Awesome.
But we still try to stay within our the brands we know and trust. In the very beginning, we were like, hey, we're getting traffic to the website. Let's throw all this stuff on there. And that was a disaster. So we pretty much whittled it down to companies we know. Whittled it. That's right.
Whittled.
I wasn't going to say anything.
It's an Alabama term.
To condensed, whatever. Okay, anyway, so we have a list of people we trust and we know as manufacturers to be good. And then what we do is look at other things they may offer and see if it's an area that we're willing to get into. It's not that we want to bring a lot of new things on board. That's not our goal. It's just to utilize the relationships we have and people we trust. And sure, okay, so you have trucking GPS. That's kind of cool. Or, hey, you have WeBoost Home cell boosters. All right, that's cool. But not go much further outside of what we're comfortable with and who we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really important, like Heather was saying, is building the trust with your clients. So you're not just selling everything possible that you can to make money. You're selling what you know and trust for the RVer, which goes a very long way.
Yeah, I mean, even for ourselves with Xscapers, I mean, we often ponder brainstorm ideas and all these, avenues and ways we can go, for the future or long-term goals. But really, at the end of the day, we end up going, what is our niche? What are we good at? What are we best at? And that should be our focus. Is kind of how we feel. We're really targeted on, this is our area of expertise, and that's what we should stick to, and not necessarily just try to, venture out and then do a bunch of things not so great.
Yeah. And Heather, with yours being a broader service that you're providing for anybody in general, do you see a lot more of your clients are RV clients these days, or do you still kind of work all of the angles?
My new clients tend to be RVers. I do have my long-term, clients that are sometimes in sticks and bricks. I've actually been acquiring some just digital nomads in general. So somebody who's traveling in Southeast Asia, or they're like living in France for the year or something. So just somebody who's a little bit outside the normal sphere of taxes, tax rules, or running a business from the road, even if that means they're in Vietnam or wherever. So.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I don't know how you do it. I can't keep up with taxes regular, more or less RV tax. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, and it's like, that's my job, so I have to educate myself, and I always
we're happy to have people like you that are willing to sacrifice countless hours learning.
Yeah, for the greater good.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Where are we at? What are we on?
Here.
I don't know where we're on. What? Oh,
yeah,
that's a good one. It's a hard one, but it's something that's important. So we don't always want to show the bright side of things. I mean, what is the hardest struggle, as running a business from the road, working from the road that you find?
Because there's a lot of advantages. So if you look at the advantages, is you're living a nomadic lifestyle, you have the flexibility to live your life the way you want to, set your own hours. You don't have an office space. Well, I think Eric and Tammy, actually, you guys do have an office space, but generally a lot of people are working and running that business from their RV. So if you take all of the advantages out of it, what would be one of the hardest things that you found from running that on the road?
We try to be polite because we could talk nonstop. So we're like, okay.
Tammy's pointing at Heather's picture. Let her go, Eric.
Let her go. It's funny because we do have an office, and I'm looking at it outside this window, but we still prefer to work in the RV because that actually getting the office, and we just got it in the last year, I guess, January of last year. We had a couple of remote people doing the work, and we moved them all to one location in Mobile, and that actually created struggles, especially for you because you kind of manage the office like people.
I would say that depending on where you asked me along the journey, like what are the struggles, that answer totally changes.
True. Like
if you're just asking me like right now, what is it? It is that we need to hire some more people. We're behind. Me and Tammy are in there shipping at nighttime and in the morning time. It's all good problems, but it's like, hey, we gotta, are keeping up with the processes, managing people from the road, making sure that if we hire somebody, it's got to be the right person.
That's what it is. When you're not there,
yeah, it's just,
it has to be the right person.
it has to be. And so
It just has to be.
we've gone through some, a few different people, but our group now is spectacular, and we are about to add somebody else, and we're, interviewing and just considering things, because it's just absolutely got to be the right person. So I would say right now, we're in that mode right now where we're working way more than maybe originally we would have seen ourselves at this point. I feel like a lot of our entrepreneurs on the road, I see people commenting online. It's like, man, how do you balance all this? And we really don't have that answer, because it's always in your head. You know what I mean? It's like it never stops.
You guys sound like two entrepreneurs.
Yeah. The ideas start driving you crazy.
We'll go out to eat, and be like, look, tonight, no techno-RV. And we won't even be like getting into the restaurant. Okay, just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. I want to talk about 5 minutes.
We can't get
out.
Sure.
But that's his struggle, because he deals with people. My struggle on the road is I used to be in education, and I had a very organized office. And I know there's some people that have really cool offices in their RV. We've not done that to the RV so much so. And I struggle with structure and consistency and having a routine. Like, what day of the week is it? Oh, we're moving today, but I do those on Tuesdays. And that is it's just personally, I'm just probably not good with all the, but that's a struggle to me, to stay structured with whether it's the office or people we have working with meetings, and just keeping everything on a time schedule. It's easier to do when you do the same thing every day. It was just super easy to do. Your calendar's on your head, so not so much for me.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
So I'm gonna try for Heather, because I'm gonna chime in here, because I think this is something I'm polar opposite as you, in the sense that we're not full timers, working from the road, but we do obviously try. We work remotely 100% of the time, whether it's in the RV or in our house. It's the same that way. And I love the fact that I just remote work, in the sense like I don't have that set schedule. We're always available during a set schedule, obviously, because we have a lot of staff. But I like the flexibility to work when I'm motivated more so. So like, it may be late at night, it may be early in the morning, whatever. Maybe I wake up in the middle of the night and I just can't sleep, and just go sit down at the computer and knock something out. I like that flexibility versus the routine, because I think a routine just makes me forced to try to put something on paper sometimes when I don't have anything to put there, versus working when I'm motivated. So I actually enjoy that aspect, if you can do it. It all totally depends on
a lot of people
what level, what type of.
That are working remotely, and they are still working for another company, and they don't have that flexibility. They still have to log in on these certain hours and be available during the business.
But Melanie over here, she writes all of her tasks down on paper and has this whole thing. I don't.
Yeah. But remote working in general, the biggest struggle is staying organized and staying on track, because it's so easy to let it slip. You take a long lunch break or something, you're like, oh man, I got to go back and do this or anything like that. But I do agree that being able to, like the other night, I was working on something. I took a few hours off during the day and worked on it at night. So it was nice to be able to clear my head and do what I need to do to get back in the right space to focus on my project. So, and
I think management of people is always the biggest struggle.
Yeah,
that's always a hard one for any business. I think when you're in a position of
and as you're growing, like what you guys are doing is identifying not only the person that you need, but what is it that you need them to do exactly.
And being remote, you gotta have a lot of you gotta have a lot of trust for the person that's there in the office, because you're not. That's a lot of I totally get it.
Yeah. Heather, what would you say is your biggest struggle?
You guys have kind of touched on all the similar stuff. I actually find sometimes that work-life balance, because like my computer is always there. I live in a tiny house, or I always have my phone with me to check email or to respond to things. And so just being able to turn yourself off and realize, like, hey, I'm living this lifestyle for a reason. I need to go out for a hike this afternoon. That work can be done tomorrow or later today. Or just sometimes, like, you have a crappy travel day and you get a flat tire and it throws your entire day off. And you end up being late, or you don't get to your destination. Maybe you had a client call that you were supposed to be on. And so that's a struggle for me sometimes, to just get really thrown off the bandwagon. And I find in that case, like, it's better to just be honest with the client. Like, we've actually had, funny enough, we had 2 flat tires last week on our travel day. And it's better for me to just email a client or say, like, I can't make today, an emergency came up, this is what's going on. Like, they live the lifestyle, they understand a breakdown. So to me, it's just being honest and communicating. And they usually are like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? So yeah, that's probably one of my biggest struggles. And then I guess the biggest we all probably struggle with is the internet, and finding camp spots that I can still get internet workable, usable internet to do either video conferencing or just do my work that's online. So
yeah.
No,
I think we've heard that term a few times now. Work-life balance is so big, and I mean, a couple years ago, and that's ever changing. You can think that you got your work-life balance down, but one thing will change and then you're totally thrown for a loop. And I mean, we've had our own naive thoughts that we've reached that, I remember
I don't think it's something you can teach
either.
Like,
and we used to, share, I guess, a little roundtable discussion about how we felt we achieved a work-life balance, working remotely while we used to be in RV a lot more, and how we did that with the kids. We had a baby, Declan was a baby back then. And now I look at that presentation or the key points that we had, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't apply to our life anymore. Things just change so quickly. So you can share your tips, like, here's what I do, travel on the weekends, make our travel days on the weekends, and try not to move so much during the week, things like that. But you can't really tell somebody else how to achieve their work-life balance.
Well, and work-life balance looks different for every person, right? Like, or every family. And maybe, like, for me, I guess one of the other struggles, I'm just me, right? Like, you've got like Tim and Eric together, right? You can discuss your ideas and business. I'm just me, so who do I discuss it with? Like, so going to dinner and talking business with my husband is actually like a good thing, because it's just letting someone else hear ideas and bounce things, for his business and mine. So we actually like going to dinner and talking business.
Yeah.
We're not on the same thing. We're not working on the same thing. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, if you're passionate about what you do, I mean, sometimes it's fun to talk about it as a hobby, even still. I mean, sometimes it can be annoying when it's rough days and it's like hard to sit and you're like, I don't really want to talk about it anymore. But if it's something you're really enjoying, it's really positive kind of a brainstorming session. It's fun.
Well,
I feel like this is like a therapy session for us all, really. It's like, we
appreciate dinner next time.
Can we be on your show every week so we can all just get it off our chest?
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, we're the worst therapists you could hire, so
you're not gonna like our.
You can try it out. Let us know how it goes.
There's a question on the screen. What do you wish someone had told you about warnings or advice before you chose to run a business?
That's funny. That's our next question. We're on the same page, Amy. Awesome.
I wish they would have told me that it is doable. Like, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, when Eric and I both had, set paychecks and set schedules and just in what we thought was the normal thing, even just being an entrepreneur off the road, that was not something I think we ever thought, well, what else can we do but what we do? And that's not, I wish someone would have told me and made me believe that it was more possible, I guess, that it was something that is doable. A lot of people are doing it. Maybe I didn't see a lot of examples of people being successful at it. And I wished I would have gotten that message a little bit earlier, because, I mean, we would have done this to have the freedom that we have. We would have done it earlier.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Advice. I don't know. I guess if at first you don't succeed, try again. Maybe it's like, you're gonna fail. You're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have good days. Especially being an entrepreneur, it's like, I don't know if you ever seen one of those little charts. It looks like a roller coaster. Like, you have your ups and downs, and you just gotta get through those crappy days and those down periods the best you can, right? So sometimes that might mean like stepping away for a day or a week, just to clear your head, think of new ideas. So
But I think the other thing that, for us, and it's something we did early on, I think it would probably apply for most people, is we did want to establish who we were as a business early on and what we were going to be, and that's what we were going to stick with. And so we were actually, me and Tammy talked about this today, and I actually talked to one of our employees about it today too. It was like, man, just thinking about overall Techno RV, what is one thing that you would say that we've done that has made a difference? And it was almost like everybody had kind of written their answers down, and every single person wrote down customer service, because it's just something that, like, in the beginning, we're like, look, we're going to do that right. It's not the easiest way to do business. It's not the cheapest way to do business, but we're going to get that right no matter what. And so I would say that, you know, if somebody's looking at doing a business, developing it, they really got to streamline, like, what is it that they're going to be doing, who's their audience, and what are they going to focus on to attract that audience.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice. And if you look at my example, like, that's exactly what I did. This is the path I want to take. And I feel like if you do define that, your customers or your clients are going to be attracted to you. So.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And as far as the other thing up here, resources, you know, are there any other resources that you found that cater to the RV community? You know, we know about the RV entrepreneur community that Heath and Melissa run, and they have for the past few years done an in-person summit, which we've seen both of you guys there at that. Are there any other resources that are similar to that kind of cater to the nomadic or RV lifestyle that you found that have helped with your business needs? Besides Xscapers, of course. Okay.
I mean,
we don't have some secret hidden group somewhere, if that's what you mean, that nobody knows about.
I wish.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I guess my answer to that would be, and I guess maybe I'm dodging it a little bit, but I would say that 100% something that we've learned along the way is we got to figure out what we're good at, and we do that, and find other people to do what we're not good with. Like, for example, bringing Heather into it kind of here, like that, like all that, that's not my thing. You know what I mean? I needed to, find somebody that was good at that. We needed to find somebody that was good at automation. You know what I mean? Because we automate a lot of our business, and it was like, well, we're going to have to learn all that. I'm not even sure that's something we're that great at. So we went and found a company that was good at automation. And we work with a lot of different companies like that to help us.
The group does help even with recommendations on that type of thing. You're like, just knowing you need a resource is part of half the battle. Just knowing this isn't for me and I can't do this and I'm wasting my time. Just knowing you need a resource is half the battle for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'd also say that, yes, we live in an RV and that's a huge part of our life, but as an entrepreneur or business owner, there's so many resources out there that it doesn't have to strictly be in the RV community. I know we like to support each other and each other's businesses, but there's so much for small business owners. So I would say also just look outside that community if that's going to provide the help that is needed.
I would agree. I mean, yeah, I totally agree in the sense, people think of RVing. Yes, it does add some complications that aren't the same as remote working. Obviously, your travel days and getting cell signal at different locations and things like that. But the concept of it is really similar to something that's been happening for years. And it's only even now it's even booming more of this remote work, kind of attitude, and people understanding that they have the ability to do this from not a corporate office. Either whether it's running a business or working for someone. That these types of jobs and businesses can be done remotely. And so I think that's just the understanding that it's doable. And there's little differences here and there, but at the end of the day, running a business is running a business to some degree, so.
Mm-hmm. I think we missed a comment earlier. Was our remote jobs going to be more scarce with the pandemic? From Mark. I think it's going to be the opposite. Yeah, I think a lot of businesses are realizing that they can have remote workers. So I think there will be a lot more opportunities following this as businesses start scaling in that direction.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Go ahead, Tammy. You were going to say something important.
No, I said I would agree with that too. I would think it would make businesses understand that you can be productive remotely, and where they may not have been willing to take the chance, they were forced to, and now they're like, oh, okay, people work from home. So,
And I think it's a great time to become an entrepreneur too. I mean, I think it is, I think there's a lot of like every day, well, not every day, but I get up a lot of times and I think like, you know what, the next big idea as it relates to RVing and making things better from a technology standpoint is literally right in front of me every day. And I just don't see it. You know what I mean? It's like whatever it is, it's there. Somebody's going to come up with it. Why am I not coming up with it? But those opportunities are there.
Yeah.
That's a good way
I
to
got
think.
Look, it's the mind of an entrepreneur. Just stop.
Yeah.
I can do it.
No, I get it. I mean, I totally get it. That's awesome. We had a question pop up
Yeah,
here.
we missed it. Oh, there.
Oh.
Did you start your full-time RV work before selling the house or ending your formal work? Please describe that transition.
So it's kind of what we talked about at
Yeah.
the beginning, but it's similar. I don't know if you guys have more info or thoughts on
I
it.
do. Of course I do. We actually sold our house quicker than we thought we were going to, and we both had full-time jobs in Mobile, Alabama. So we moved in our fifth wheel to a piece of property, and sometimes we were in RV parks, but we always stayed close enough to work in Mobile. We didn't know it was going to happen that quickly. So it was probably a good almost a year. We would take trips here and there when we could, but we were working in Mobile full-time and doing our side hustle to get Techno RV up and going at night. And then we let my job go, and then Eric quit his job. So for us, we actually, the house was gone, but we still were what I would consider stationary in Mobile.
Yeah, we
and
were.
did that.
It would be like y'all having Xscapers, and like y'all have y'all's real jobs on the side or something. It was like literally we had Techno RV, but we still had regular.
We literally
jobs.
took our first RV rally. You had to take a vacation from your job to go to it.
Hey, that's something not a lot of people know.
Yeah.
I would take breaks at work and do support calls. Like what?
Oh.
No, so I hope not that, but okay. Anyway, yeah, so we stayed put for a while. And until we actually got our feet set on the ground and realized, we didn't quit our jobs until we were confident we could be able to do it.
That makes sense.
And Heather, you said that you had an office space rented, right? And so did you make that transition pretty quickly then when you guys decided to hit the road?
Yeah, I had no problem letting the office space go.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think there's just a couple more things. We have a couple more minutes too before we need to wrap it up, really. But one thing, Eric and Tim, you guys, you said you had staff and stuff, and one thing that's been wrong. I'm like, I've been wondering, what do they do with all their product? Like, where does it stay? And it makes more sense now that I know you guys have a team and kind of a space for that. But I think you're in a kind of a similar position as me and Mel. Being president, vice president of Xscapers, in the sense that being 100% remote, we obviously have a lot of staff back at headquarters and stuff that we have to communicate with. And I think one of the biggest struggles as a remote worker, especially if you are, a business owner or running a business, is that communication efforts and making sure that people that are not at the same location you feel like that open line of communication is always there. Because it's really easy for people to forget or just feel like, oh, they're on the road RVing, they're not here every day doing the hard, but that's totally not true, right? We all know that we're doing just as much work and a lot of late night hours because our computer is always around us no matter where we go. So I just think that's a really important piece. It's just kind of breaking through that perception to yourself and with your staff.
One way we did that personally with the Xscapers was implementing, which was go-to meetings way back in the day, but we've been utilizing Zoom for the past few years. And one thing we've always told everybody, previous staff and new staff that comes on, is just imagine like we're in the office with you with Zoom and we're on Slack every day. You can call us at any time and treat it like you were going to walk into our office. So our door is always open, and if we're in a meeting, we'll let you know very quickly. So just keeping and making sure that you're available is the biggest thing, so that you build that trust with your employees.
But I think that's a really weird thing for people that transition, is like understanding, like picking up a phone and talking to somebody is no different than walking to somebody's office. Like it can have that same human interaction. It doesn't have, you don't have to physically be there. It's the same.
Right.
You get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that feeling is probably pretty common there. If you're looking for some support there, Travis, I got you back there on that. It's like the thing of when and we don't have as many employees as y'all do, but nonetheless we do have some, and And I let them know, from the beginning, look, we're gone like 80% of the time. And, you're going to see us out, and you're going to see us posting pictures on Facebook, having a good time. And I'm happy to send you pictures throughout the day if you want of me sitting at my desk. That's not what people want to see. So,
but we do what you do. We have a Slack channel that's the whole office, just so everybody know. It's almost like this, not just the whole office, but that's just constant. Communication is always open. Eric's very clear to let people know our job, even though we do enjoy RVing, and that is why we do this. That is the reason we do this. But our job is out here growing the business, and their job is making sure that when the customers come, that they're taken care of. And it's just a different job. It's not, that's just our job.
Yeah, we got to make the phones ring. We got to get people to the website, and then we need processes in place to handle it.
So understanding we're not playing, that this is part of what we do for them to have jobs to do what they do, and it just works as a, and they're happy, they're happy that we're out here doing it because they like dealing with customers.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Heather, when are you bringing on a bunch of staff people to do all your work for you?
I actually do have someone that I just brought on this tax season to help me. So, and we use the same thing. So we use Slack. And since she's a contractor, I don't have required hours. So when she has a question, sometimes it's 10 o'clock at night, and I might not be online. I might be in bed. She'll just post to Slack, and then the next time I'm on, she gets her answer.
Yeah.
And we do, we've had meetings. We'll join so we'll do screen shares when there's questions and things. So yeah, she knows that I'm always available. So.
Yeah, I think that's key. Just making sure that you're always available is a really big. That goes a long ways, I think, with a lot of people. When you're just.
There's so many different virtual methods to communicate these days that the possibilities are endless.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we should probably start wrapping it up. But while we do so,
this is a topic we can talk about.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about.
So many questions and education that people can learn. So yeah, it's
we'll continue. We'll make this a series. We'll just keep.
It's our therapy session.
Yeah,
That's right.
But while we're wrapping up, though, we do welcome any questions anybody has, final questions to throw in, and we'll kind of move on and wrap it up from there and try to answer questions at the very end before we say our goodbyes.
Yeah, and just to give another thank you to you guys, if you do want to check out more about their businesses, you can find Tammy and Eric at technorv.com. And then you can find Heather at taxqueen.com, but there's a hyphen between tax and what did I say? Hyphen? Did I say something?
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing.
Hyphen between taxandqueen.com. So be sure to check them out if there's anything interesting to you there, or you want to reach out to them after the show. So.
And then obviously we hope to see you guys back on the next Virtual Campfire 2 weeks from now. It'll be on the Xscapers page, but I'm sure you'll find us on either page you join, but it'll just be hosted there.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now.
Yeah. And then the other virtual items that we have for the rest of the week, there's a happy hour on the Facebook page this Friday night at 6 p.m. And that's hosted by David and Cheryl. It'll be a quick little happy hour at the beginning, and then they're going to move into a game night after that. So it's a lot of fun. If you haven't joined one yet, be sure to check that out. And then Saturday, we're coming back with another quarantine live, and that's going to be Luke and Kaylee and JP will be hosting that for you guys this weekend.
Yay!
Yeah, a lot of fun.
So we'll give a little bit. Hey, I didn't get to say official buys, Brandon. Okay. I'm like, oh my God, that's kind of rude.
Very abrupt.
Very abrupt. Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know if we'll see anything coming. Any closing thoughts from you guys or comments before we say our goodbyes? Thank you, Paul. As always, plus Paul.
No, just thanks for having us. It was fun. It's nice to hang out.
Yeah,
with familiar faces sometimes.
It's good to see all of y'all, really, Heather and both of y'all. It's good to see all y'all. Good to see familiar faces.
Yeah,
I
sure.
agree. Ditto. Yep.
All right, now get back to work. No.
All right.
It's dinner time. It's dinner time.
Yeah, the assembly was a lot of fun. I hope that the audience learned a little bit, and Travis and I and the rest of the Xscapers team will be monitoring comments if you guys have anything else that comes up after the show. So feel free to reach out.
All right.
Awesome, guys. Till next time, safe travels. We'll see you down the road, hopefully before too crazy long.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.